Hey boys and girls, today I'm going to talk to you about customary length. So customary is the type of measurement that we use here in America. Most countries use metric units, but we use customary units. You're very familiar with the units I'm about to talk to you about. Inches, feet, yards, and miles. So to kind of help you remember the units of length, IFYM, I feel you man, I found your money, is Francis your mom, or any other thing that you think would help you remember inches, feet, yards, and miles. And the reason we say it in that order is because this is the smallest unit, then bigger, then bigger, then bigger. So it helps us remember them in order. But like I said, we're pretty familiar with these units, so most of you probably already know that inches are smaller than miles. But if you don't, there's something to help you remember. All right, so first we're going to talk about inches. Inches are very small. Okay, so here is our ruler, and an inch is just from 0 to 1. Also, hopefully you'll always have your thumbs. An inch is pretty close to the end of your thumb to your knuckle. That's about an inch. So that's a good way to remember that. So also a inch is about the length of a paper clip, the smaller paper clips, or the thumb knuckle to tip. So that's our smallest unit of customary length. Next we have a foot, 1 foot, 2 feet. Or more. So a foot equals 12 inches. So a ruler that you have maybe in your book bag is a foot. That means it is 12 inches. So 1 foot. So when you think about your height, most of you are probably around 4 feet tall. So it's 4 of these stacked on top of each other. Okay. Also, you can measure about from your elbow to your wrist is about a foot. See, mine's actually a little smaller than that. But that's a good way to kind of get an idea about it. All right, a yard. Most of y'all have seen a yardstick. A yard is 3 feet. So 3 of these rulers is a yard. And that also means that since there are 3 feet in a yard, that means there are 36 inches in a yard. Because there's 12 inches in 1 foot, there's 36 inches in 3 feet. One way to think about a yard, about the height of a chair like we have here at school, it's about that tall. We hear yards a lot if you are a football fan, when they talk about how many yards the players are going down the field. In the middle of a football field is the 50-yard line. That means it's 50 yards to each side. That's the middle of the field. And our largest unit of customary length would be the mile. So a mile, you can pretty much think of the distance as farther, okay? People run a mile in about 10 minutes. So you would run constantly for 10 minutes. Think about how far that is. There are 5,280 feet in 1 mile, which means there are 1,760 yards in 1 mile. In your packets this week, you were given a conversion chart, which is going to show you and remind you 12 inches are a foot, 36 inches are a yard, on and on. You do not have to memorize this. Years ago, we had to memorize how many feet were in a mile. You don't have to memorize it anymore. That's going to be given to you. But in a lot of cases, it's very helpful in real life to know how many inches are in a foot, how many feet are in a yard, things like that, because it's measurement that we use all the time in real life. One more thing I wanted to talk to you about was changing units. I'm going to scoot this over. I'm going to give you an example of changing units. So just like we said, 12 inches was a foot. sometimes we're going to change our units or convert them. So we may say, how many feet are 84 inches? And so we're going to have to do that. Now, when we are talking about this, we need to think about what we're doing with our units. So in the example I have up here for you, we are changing 36 inches into feet. So I know inches are smaller than feet, so that's why I say we're going from smaller to bigger. Let me pull this a little closer. We're going from a smaller unit, inches, to a larger unit, feet. So since we're doing that, we're dividing, because we're going to have less units because feet are bigger than inches, so it takes way more inches to equal the same thing as that amount of feet. So we're going to say, okay, I'm going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, and I know that there are 12 inches in a foot, so 36 divided by 12 is going to give me 3 feet. That's a strategy I can use to convert those units. Or if I'm going from bigger to smaller, 7 feet to inches, I'm going from a larger unit to smaller. So I know my number is going to be way bigger with inches because it takes more inches to equal a foot. So then I still am remembering that there are 12 inches in a foot, but in this case I'm multiplying them because I know there's way more inches than there are feet. So that would be 84, okay? But we always have to think about the relationship with what we're doing. So as we continue with this, we're going to talk about weight and capacity and different things. So we're going to have to think about those different units. Or even if now we were talking about miles and feet, we have to just think of the relationship they have, which one's smaller, which one's bigger, and how many we find in each one. All right, so there's a little bit of a review on our customary length.